Hey guys, welcome to the newest episode of On That Note with Parker Whirling. Today I've got an experimental indie rock singer-songwriter, producer, and multi-instrumentalist who's based in Los Angeles, California. He's got a new single out right now called Sweet Thing and two amazing albums called 13 and Flounder, so you need to go check them out right now. Before we get the episode started, please make sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. And don't forget to follow me at Parker Whirling and at onthatnote_podcast on Instagram. And without further ado, please welcome Louis Prince.
Yeah, how are you doing? Where are you in the world?
I'm in Athens.
Okay.
Athens,
cool.
Georgia, yeah. And you're in Nashville, right?
I'm in LA actually.
Oh, you're in LA.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why I thought you were in Nashville.
I've been in Nashville for like the last 10 years. I just moved.
Okay, what brought you to LA? I used to live there.
You did? Okay. Yeah, it's just kind of, I grew up in Orange County.
Okay.
And I was kind of floating around during the month of May, and this spot just presented itself to me, and this year I'm kind of just like yes to whatever, and needed to get out and see how it felt, you know. So yeah, that's why I'm here. My perspective on why I'm here is changing constantly, but yeah. yeah.
Well, why are you here now? What are you thinking now?
I think now it's just to kind of, I don't know. I gotta figure out a lot of my own shit. I can swear on this, right?
You can totally
God bless.
It's
okay.
all good.
Yeah, I needed to not. Right now, I'm thinking about why you, the ability to, like, the crux of why you want to make something, and I think being away from everyone that I love there in Nashville, and being uprooting a sense of belonging somewhere, challenging all that stuff. I think I'm just here to question a lot of shit, you know, externally, internally, all that stuff, and it's not a bad place to be. I'm making it sound way more philosophical than it is. I'm just here. It's a place, and this is where I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
well, how long have you been in LA?
2 months now.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. So this is really recent.
Oh yeah. Like this just happened. Like my place is still getting sorted and all that stuff, and but yeah.
What part of town are you in?
I'm on the east side.
Okay.
Yeah, Highland Park.
So nice. Okay. I used to live in the Valley for most of my time. North Hollywood and Sherman Oaks.
Yeah.
And then if you know Sawtell, that was the last place I lived before I moved out.
Yeah. Okay. Why? How long were you there? I'm sorry if I already asked you that.
No, 5.5 years. I left 2021 in April. So it's been a little more than a year.
Why'd you roll?
So I moved to LA for acting, because I'm also an actor.
Okay.
And by the time I left, you know, the pandemic had happened and a lot of productions had shut down, but my monthly rent did not shut down. So I was like,
as it goes,
this is a lot.
Yeah.
And I moved back to Atlanta, was there for a little more than a year, and then kind of discovered the Athens music scene and moved down here maybe 4 months ago. And it's been really cool.
What is going on down there? I don't know much about it. I've been to pass through Atlanta, played a show in Savannah. That's about it.
Yeah. Athens, I mean, I recorded an EP here in December of 2021, and within that process met a bunch of people, and I didn't know that many people in Atlanta that were doing the kinds of stuff I wanted to do. And I very quickly just met a lot of, people my age that were playing shows all the time and recording all the time. And that was really what I've wanted for so long. So I thought, let's take the leap and see what happens. I've always lived in big cities, and this is a smaller town, college town though. So there's still a lot of people. It's just in a smaller area.
Totally. Yeah.
But it's cool. I really enjoy it so far. I've been playing some shows. I do want to go back to Nashville soon because it's been so long. And the last time I went to Nashville, I wasn't really into country music, and now I've kind of turned that stone, and I want to go back and like soak that all in.
Make some country music.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, dude, I'm stoked to have you on the show. I really want to talk about this new single, new-ish, Sweet Thing, May 31st is when it came out, and
Cool.
I love the sound of it. I was turned on to you through my last guest, Spuddy. He's from Nashville, or he lives there. I can't remember if he's from there. But he was telling me about your stuff, and sorry, I don't know what's going on right now. People are just rolling equipment through the lobby. Yeah, so he was telling me about your stuff, and I was listening to all your tunes, and I just really vibe with the sound that you've got going on. So when it comes to this song, Sweet Thing, what was kind of the writing and the recording process behind it? Was it any different than what you normally do?
Oh, what I normally do differs every time. So that tune was supposed to be it was going to be on the record, Flounder. So it's a B-side technically.
Yeah.
And it was just a part of a batch of songs that I how did that one happen? I was living at a buddy's place, and he loaned me this Hofner bass, and let me set up a little studio in his house very, very graciously, and just kind of during the writing of Flounder and working on tunes, I got really obsessed with the sound of the bass, strummed and treating it like a guitar, and like what if we just mic it, you know what I mean? And yeah, I mean that one just kind of happened. It's interesting to be asked about this song. I don't think too much of it. I don't mean that in a negative context. I love the song. It was going to make the record until the last moment, and then it just didn't feel like it just didn't work. It was a different story, and it was just pretty freeform. I just remember setting up I got really in the habit of, my brain works really quickly, and typically when writing and recording, I, to my detriment, oftentimes, I work on 4 or 5 songs in one session, because my brain is just like, well, what if this happened, and then it went into this thing, and then it goes into this thing, and I think about it way more large scope, broad scope kind of thing than like what happens in this 3 minutes. So I'm trying to like tend to every piece of my brain, and where I want things to go. And oftentimes I'm really, what I tried to get better at was, if I was working on something, I would just set up my phone and so I could not forget the chords and all that shit, because oftentimes I'll voice memo something and I will not listen to it ever again.
Yeah.
And there's something about watching yourself back, looking at it in some way. I don't know. I got way better at listening to what I was doing, and that one just kind of happened pretty quickly. And I wanted it to be really freeform, and uh, I mean, all the songs on, like the majority of the songs that Flounder, I like took to Micah Tawlks, the guy that produced the record. He's my best pal, and um, but this one I recorded the majority of it in that little studio space, except for like the bass and we overdubbed some bass stuff um, and did strings and all that. But yeah, man, I don't know. It just kind of happened. I started thinking of Sweet Thing as a person,
Hmm.
and that's it. So it's kind of treating it more as a story. I imagine a very specific setting, um, where it all takes place, and so I tried to write it from that perspective and what's kind of going down in that world. So yeah.
That's interesting about the Hofner bass strumming it. Was that ever used in other songs, or was it really mainly this one?
Um,
Because I feel like that's a pretty unique.
we would constantly Micah and I got super obsessed with contact mics over the
Yeah.
last couple of years. Are you familiar?
Yes, sort of, but refresh me.
Yeah, so a contact mic is like forget what they're used for. I'm gonna sound like a fucking idiot, but basically it's like we would just attach these microphones to the body of the guitar or the body of the bass kind of thing.
Okay.
So instead of just miking it up in a standard way, you would like we would like in a very janky way like tape these things up, and then they plug into a 1/4 inch, and then we'd run them through pedals, or we'd run them through you know uh, you know compressor, outboard gear, all that shit. So I would I mean, there's definitely stuff where that's going on. I don't. I don't think other like strumming. I mean that bass is all over the record, but like I don't. I don't think strumming in that way um, ever happened again. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you mentioned Micah Talks, and I did write a note about him because I saw that you guys were working together, and he's done some really great things. How did that collaboration start? What do you feel like, he offers to your songs when you bring them to him? And like, with that being said, what do you think are some great, important qualities for a collaborator?
Um. Okay. How did it start? Take it piece by piece.
Sorry, I asked like
No,
three
no, no, no.
questions in
You're good,
one.
dog. Don't worry about it, man. Uh, it started because we have a mutual friend in this guy named Don Haney. Uh, Don, I was going to school in Nashville for a brief period of time. Don was a teacher at the school. Heard some stuff that I was making. Kept telling me, "You need to meet my buddy Micah. You guys would make some interesting stuff." Um, I My semester there was over. Went back to LA for a second. Came back. Kept up with Don. Don was like, "Hey, this day we're gonna go over and hang with Micah," um, and that was 7, 8 years ago. And he's produced everything since I met him. I used to make music under my real name. We made a couple EPs during that time. He produced the first Louis Prince record. He produced the second one. We will always make music together, God willing. Uh, what was the second question?
What do you feel like he brings to the
Oh,
table in terms of the collaboration
word,
process?
word. Micah. So first of all, I think it's a rarity to find someone who hears music the the exact same way that you do.
Hmm.
And I think when you find people like that, um, it's foolish to believe that that's just a coincidence, a happenstance, like, or that you can just move right along. Micah is one of those people for me, and uh, he just man, I have a tendency to go to outer space. I have a tendency to in the same, I'm talking to you about these sessions, like I'm bringing Micah like 45-minute demos, and coming to him and being like, yo man, don't you hear the song? You know what I mean? And like there were like points in there where I was like sampling, like I lived in New York in 2019 for like a spell, and this guy let me use the studio, and there was a time where I just got super obsessed with. I remember I like brought him a demo where it was like all 808s and Tree Frog samples, and I was like, don't you?
God.
And I was like, don't you get it, man? And he's like, absolutely not. And so in the sense, Micah is just he is the same and the opposite. He's an incredible editor. He I think no one gets sounds like Micah either. Micah just is so surgical and very honest and open with his to what his ears are telling him. He trusts himself a lot, which I want to run wild, and Micah figures out a way to help me sort all that out, and so that's what he brings, and he's a kick-ass bass player and just a wonderful human being. Yeah.
Kind of like a yin yang situation.
Yeah. That's you took the words right out of my mouth.
Well, yeah, it's great to have somebody whose strengths might be something that you're not as strong in, right? And then your strengths are something that maybe they're not as strong in, so that the strengths overall are what shine instead of there being any sort of, some potholes in the situation.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, we lift each other up in a way that I haven't really found with other people, and I'm really thankful for that. So,
you just mentioned sounds and how great he is with sounds, and definitely probably the most prominent thing I would think about while listening to your discography is the sound design, because obviously I think your voice is great, the songwriting is awesome, but the sound design really like shines through more than a lot of artists I've listened to. Are there certain inspirations you look towards when it comes to sound design, like other artists or anything like that?
I mean, a lot of it is just I can happily name some names and stuff. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
Like I mean, but a lot of it I think comes from a hunger to be like, wouldn't it be wild if this happened? And what else is out there that we haven't found? Personally, it might already exist. There's nothing really new under the sun. But what have we never done? What have I never done? That's exciting. And I don't know, man. I mean, I think of like one of my heroes is like Arthur Russell.
I don't think I know him.
Arthur Russell is this. He was a cellist. He passed in the 90s, sadly. And he was a New York artist. It's been sampled by like Kanye and a bunch of different folks and stuff. But
I got him pulled up now so I can listen to him later.
Yeah. It's there's a really great documentary too about him. You should check out. But he made a record called World of Echo, which is cello and like inventing his own language kind of thing while singing, and wild shit like that. I like, and I mean on a more like modern scale, One O Tricks Point Never, like that kind of like that kind of stuff more electronically. I think I record everything walking around most of the time too, and so it's just like how do you make X instrument sound like X instrument? You know what I mean? And I don't know. Yeah, I'm not doing a very good job of getting to the point with that. But
it's one of those questions that sometimes can put you on the spot. One of Tricks Point Never, though, that's an interesting, like, I hear it now that you say that, but I wouldn't have necessarily guessed that just because of how electronic his stuff is. Especially, I think of, is it Replica?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
I love that album. That's the
Yeah.
one I always go back to. I don't really listen to the other ones as much, although I've heard them all at some point.
Totally.
Do you have
Um,
a favorite of his?
I mean, when we were making the thing, I was really into the Uncut Gems score that he
Oh
did.
yeah, yeah.
But and I think he put out his last record in the middle of making the last one, or in the middle of me making Flounder. But yeah, man, I like the idea of being able to stretch things and manipulate things and pitch shift them, and there are no rules. So why limit yourself, you know? And mixing is so much fun. Like like fucking it all up and turning it on its head. And yeah, man, I don't know. Micah spends a lot of time miking things up. A lot of it goes into that. There's no samples on the record, you know, and that's something we're really proud of, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That the whole miking thing is so beyond my understanding. Like
you and
that's
me
one thing I'll
both.
never,
Yeah,
maybe not never, but I've never tried to figure out proper mic placement, and then once you know what the proper thing is, like fucking it up on purpose. Like that's so cool, and I think that's so interesting. I have no knowledge of that, but it's so it seems to be very integral in terms of creating some really interesting sounds.
yeah. I mean, that's where, you know, he and I, you know, like sweet thing, the bass. I threw up a mic and I was like, okay, cool. It sounds cool in this room. Let's roll with it. And I brought it in and I was like, man, Mike, I think we could like redo this. And he was like, no, I think it's perfect. You know what I mean? Like it's
Huh.
exactly what it needs to be. So I don't think too much about it. Micah's really surgical about it, but not in a not in like an anal way, you know. He's just like, well, let's like, if we're gonna do it, let's do it, you know. Uh you know, at one point we like rolled the piano into his, he's got two rooms. We like rolled the piano into his like drum room essentially, and put like 8 or 10 mics on the piano in like all these like weird positions. And um sometimes it yields interesting things, other times we're like, that was a lot of work just for that shit. But yeah, yeah, dude, miking, interesting, sure, yeah.
so, so your first album, 13, um, came out in 2020, and then Flounder, your newest album, came out this year. What do you think changed in your creative process between those two things, if anything? You know, were there any lessons you learned on your debut album under this name that you applied to Flounder?
Um, I think I got back to in between the two records. The first one is a culmination of things. There's tracks on that record that date back to like 2015 or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And and it came very much, that record came very much from like, I need to make a record. I need to, like, I feel it in me. And we dedicated like 6 8 months of like, we were in every day working on that thing. Um, and uh, and it was done in 2017 and sat on it for 3 years, kind of thing, you know. And then and it was very much saying things. It was conjuring up stories, being really ambiguous with some things in the way that the story is being told. And and it was very much, I worked on that record with Micah Tawlks, Kevin Daly, and Dabney Morris, and it was very much like a, let's venture into like a Lost Boys mentality and figure out how we discover new sounds, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and after that record came out, I fell into a spell of great amount of fear. I hated my voice. And all of my demos had just like heavy processing, or like on the vocal, or um, there was a time where Micah called me out and was like, "Dude, there's no vocals on any of these." And I brought him like 30, 40 tracks or something like that, where I just like was terrified to sing. Um, uh, so I got back to very much what studio is a great thing, but you can get lost in all the toys and the gadgets,
Totally.
and I got back to writing a song on a guitar or a piano. I think I had something to say for real this time.
On Flounder.
Yeah, yeah. Not that I discredit the tunes on 13 by any means. Like I believe in those and what they're saying, but like real personal shit that I like had to kind of expel. Kind of getting back to that thing at the beginning of like, you have to have a reason to make something. I kind of fell into a reason of needing to make something, and um, yeah, was afforded a great amount of time, like everyone else in the world, to explore that. And yeah, I just the thing that I learned was just how to get back to being comfortable with who I am, and like doing me, and uh, yeah, not hiding behind anything anymore. Yeah.
That's always easier said than done. It can be really tough to maintain that feeling. Like, even when you feel it for a day, like, you know what? Like, I'm killing it. Tomorrow, or, an hour from then, it could easily, something could change, and suddenly your mood shifts, and it's hard to get out of those spells sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, man. I can only agree with that one. Yeah, yeah.
So, did you do anything to warm up to your voice? Did it happen naturally? How did that go?
Um, a lot of conversations with Micah about it. Like days where it was just fucking derailed because I was being a real big fucking baby at the end of the day. I don't know. Uh, and also just like communicating. I when you don't sing, or you're not like in hearing yourself constantly, you're like, damn, that's me, and your
Right.
voice changes. And I, the studio that my buddy let me set up at his house, I just kind of I just basically relearned how to sing and find the like spot in my voice that I like. And then uh, Micah and I talked about, he was like, well, what do you need, and uh, we didn't record. Typically, we record all the stuff in the like in the booth, but with this one, I was like, man, like I feel like everyone's watching me in there, or it's just me, and suddenly things are intensified tenfold. And I just communicated and tried to translate how I'd record at home and feel relaxed. And so we set up a little spot on the couch, and we just like, I started trusting him when he was like, no, we got it, like it's good. And there was one tune where I was losing my shit over it. It happened until the very end, but just with anything, I just kind of get reacquainted, I guess. Yeah, if that
Yeah.
answers the cue. Yeah.
Yeah, getting reacquainted with it is a great way of kind of visualizing that, because I mean, everybody in the world seemingly has a problem with their own voice. I mean, even people who don't sing or anything like that, they hear a recording of themselves. I've done it with this podcast where
Yeah.
they haven't done a podcast before, and then they listen back to it and they're like, "Oh my god, I sound awful." You're like, "Dude, nobody thinks that about you. It's
Yeah.
just you."
Yeah, man. And something that a friend of mine said, she just said it in passing amongst a big group of people. Um, she was just like, your voice is the only one that you got, so you might as well use it. You know what I mean? Like, which sounds, when I say it, I'm like, that's fucking cliche. But it's like, I don't know, what's the alternative to not say something, to not sing. You know what I mean? Yeah, thought about that a lot too.
So how does that feel when you're playing live shows? I mean, that's like a whole different animal, having to sing in front of people, let alone by yourself.
Oh yeah, um, that's the one that always haunts me. But I mean, we've only played 12 shows ever, and now more than ever, we just played one last week in New
Oh,
York.
cool.
Yeah, and now more than ever, I think in that same mindset of, this is what you got. Um, Use it. It's I kind of, people don't care that like, and I don't care, like wholeheartedly now. Like, I I do not care. I just want to get up there and have some fun with the people that are like giving me their time to to watch me, and the people that are also giving me their time to play alongside me. We're all just here to like have a moment. Um, and and if you don't think about it, I equate it to sports, because that was like a big thing growing up for me. But like, the more that I thought about how something was supposed to be done, the shittier it was. Uh,
Mm.
and if you just pay no mind to it and just fucking trust yourself, that's why you rehearse. That's why yeah, um, yeah, yeah. It just, I'm getting there. Sure. Yeah, that probably comes with playing more too, but we'll cross that bridge whenever that comes.
Yeah, I mean, certainly being very well prepared is going to help with any sort of worries that you have about getting everything perfect. Because at the end of the day, you're right. People just want to see you have fun. They want to have fun. The band wants to have fun. And if everybody's having fun, then, so what if you forget a couple words to a song? Or so what if you get
Yeah,
a little pitchy? People are just
yeah,
enjoying it and nobody's thinking about it that way.
yeah, man. You fucking quack in one verse, like, you know what I mean,
Yeah,
and everyone forgets about it except for you.
right.
And you
Yeah.
just gotta let that shit slide off you. And I'm trying to do a better job of that.
What's it like working with an orchestra? Because I was watching those live videos that you put out, and there's like, I don't know how many people. It's not a full orchestra, but it seemed like 15-ish people. Uh,
The live show, or the tracking
the live
portion?
show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. With that, we had 6 string players, a vibraphone player, um, saxophone, clarinet, French horn. Is there anyone else? Oh God.
That's a lot to
Yeah,
coordinate.
yeah. It was an absolute joy. Um,
Yeah.
they're all so fucking good. Um, I mean, that was probably like the most. Um, I mean, you talk about like being nervous to sing in front of somebody. It's like all these people who are like fucking like pitch perfect monsters,
Right.
like can
Right.
just nail some shit, man. And but no, man, it was great, and it was all conducted by Dabney Morris, who like did worked on the strings on the record, and a lot of those people played on the record too, and it was so much fun. I was in a bit of a daze, and kind of blacked out during that show, and missed some of it, not just because of all the moving pieces, but what a, yeah, it was I would do that every night if I could. Yeah.
It seemed really cool. Was it stressful at all trying to make sure that everything was? I mean, it's hard to get 4 people all good to go in a band, let alone an entire, orchestra section.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, like that's part of my problem right now is um yeah, that was so stressful. There was so much going on in that from rehearsals to like how are we going to make sure everyone can hear themselves, and like how are we going to mic it. We track the whole thing too. How are we going to track it, and but no, it was great. I mean, you have an idea. Again, the alternative is to not do it.
Yeah, yeah.
And no, but it was fair. It's what you would think it would be. When it was all over, I wept in Dabney's arms for like 30 minutes after everyone left. I was like, I just needed to release. Yeah, yeah, man.
Just tears of joy. Yeah, all that pent up um, anxiety in a good way, like good anxiety, hopefully. Maybe some terrified feelings as well, but all that just comes spewing out once it's done.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely a healthy mix of both. I'm trying to get better at finding the joy in all of that instead of just being like, uh, how do I get people to love me and to think that this is great? And like, you can't. But yeah, man, the release of all that was probably the best part. Fucking crying afterwards. Yeah, it was sick.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
yes, dude. It feels so good to just let it all out.
yeah, man.
Cool. Well, that's gonna take us over to the last five, where I'm just gonna ask you five quick questions, and we'll be done.
All right, man.
Number one is in the studio or playing live.
Studio.
I had a feeling that would be no hesitation for you.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, I don't even think I need to ask a follow-up question. We talked about the studio almost the whole time.
I mean, you want me to change the answer and say live? You can edit
No,
it,
no,
do
no,
whatever
no,
the
no,
fuck you
no.
want.
I agree. I'm with you on the studio just because there's endless possibilities of what you can come up with.
I want to know. I want to figure out now where my head is at is how to carry that over
Mm-hmm.
into the live setting, because live is fun. It's becoming fun right now though. Like yes, studio. Like, but we just I haven't been afforded the opportunity to do it other than like you put on one massive production. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then and in that way, yeah, it kind of is like the studio. But yeah. All right, what else you got?
Question number two, perfect album front to back.
Oh, what do I think is a perfect album from the back?
Yeah, you can give a few answers.
Fuck. Oh, damn, dude. I don't know. That's hard.
Yeah, this is one that usually people like they blank,
They
and
they
then
take a they
they
take a lot
later
of
they're
time.
like, ah, shit, I should have said that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Uh, there's an Arthur Russell record, "Love Is Overtaking Me." Um, that was great. Uh, I there's this record by Mitchell Ayers and his orchestra
Hmm.
um,
Okay.
that uh, it's just like golden Hollywood string shit. It's perfect. Yeah,
Is it from like the '60s or something?
back in the day, my boy. Something like that. Yeah. I won't pretend like I know what year it was. I don't
Something way
know. I don't
back.
know. What else would someone fucking expect you to say? Radiohead? Sure. Yeah. They
Yeah.
they
Which
they
one?
know what they're doing. Kid A, OK Computer, in Rainbows. Fuck, I don't know.
Kid A and In Rainbows are probably my two favorite albums like ever.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, fuck. Here we go, Magic. Uh, a different ship.
Is
Uh,
Here We Go Magic, is that the band name?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. That's Why does that
Uh,
sound so familiar?
I mean, they're pretty influential, especially on the first record.
Okay.
But
A Different Ship. Oh, it's 2012. Okay.
it's produced by Nigel Godrich.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay. Big
It's
fan.
it's a songwriter Luke Temple. Um, yeah, that record's perfect. I'll stop there.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good few. I'm a big Nigel Godrich fan, and I've been trying to listen to just everything he's done. I didn't know until one of my guests, Elliot Moss, he told me that Paul McCartney and Nigel Godrich did an album together.
Oh yeah,
And it's so sick.
yeah.
Chaos and Creation in the Backyard. I had no idea my entire life. And I'm a big Beatles fan and Radiohead fan, so I was stoked to listen to it. And it's pretty awesome, especially for like, came out in 2005. Like, you wouldn't think about Paul McCartney putting out a great album in 2005, but he did.
Yeah, man. Those it's really, they're really they're gonna go far. Those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Question number 3. Who do you think would be a dream artist or producer to work with?
Tyler, the Creator.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have guessed that. That's cool.
Yeah.
What about him draws you to him?
I resonate very deeply with where he's coming from. Musically, aesthetically, like broad scope. I like the meanness that he presents, for lack of a better word. There's no facade. You're gonna get what you're gonna get, and and I
Unapologetic.
thank you. Yeah, there you go, man. Yes, this is why you're the host. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's it for me. Yeah.
I've seen him walking around LA a couple of times. I saw him at a Best Buy, and I really wanted to say something, but I was like, I can't do that.
All right. Maybe I'll go check out Best Buy tomorrow.
Yeah. There you go. The Best Buy at Sherman Oaks. That's where he was.
Right.
But no, he's sick. Do you have a favorite album?
Igor holds a lot of
Totally.
sentimentality. Thank you. That one's really special.
Yeah, Igor's amazing. And why am I blanking on the new album?
Flower Boy, Call Me If You Get Lost.
Call Me If You Get Lost. Yeah. What a solid three album stretch.
A hat trick, huh?
Yeah. I remember thinking that there was no way he was going to top Flower Boy, and he did it with flying colors twice.
And he said, "Damn it, that kid in Best Buy was really selling me short." And
he's like, I saw him eyeballing me, and I was just like, I gotta drop the best album of the year now.
Yeah, he did it for you.
He did it for me. Yep. I was thinking some cool people that I'd love to see your sound be with would be Blake Mills.
Okay. Yeah.
And he's in LA.
I just saw him play there last month.
Oh, you did? Was it
him
with
and
Pino?
And Pino and Sam Gendel. And the drummer's name, which I feel terrible that I do not know.
Oh yeah.
It was incredible.
Dude, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet that was awesome.
Yeah.
I've told this story like 100 times on this podcast, but I
101,
got to give Pino the nod when I was recording something with my buddies at they're called New Beat Fund, and they have a studio at Sound City Studios, but it's not like the main one.
Yeah.
And they walked in and they're like, "Oh, it looks like Pino's doing a shoot out there, like doing a photo shoot." And they just were talking like it was normal. And I was thinking, well, there's no way that's Pino Palladino. But then I was like, well,
you bet your bottom dollar it was.
Yeah, I was like, we're at Sunset or Sound Studios or Sound City, my bad. Sound City Studios. I'm like, why couldn't it be? So I was like, is this Pino Palladino? And they're like, oh yeah, you know him? I'm like, not personally, no. But I love him.
Would you like to? Yeah.
I was like, I think I need to go grab something from my car. I'll be right back. And I walked out and I wanted to say something, and they said he would have been cool about it, but he was like smoking a cig, and I just gave him the nod. That's all I could do.
It's hot as hell, man. That's so cool.
I know. Yeah. He seems like the coolest dude, and he's so tall.
Yeah.
He's super tall.
Yeah.
And then another person I thought of is McGee.
Oh yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, that'd be sick. Yeah. He did some good. I just saw him having some tacos the other day.
No way.
I shit you not, man.
Can you believe it? He likes tacos.
Yeah, the Dijon record.
It's awesome.
That's some good stuff.
I
I
got
have
to
not I have not
see.
spent too much time with his own stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, he's great, dude. He's
Okay.
awesome. And him and Dijon was not a collaboration I expected, but it's perfect.
It's good. It's a good record. Yeah, man.
And they opened for Bon Iver. I got to see them in Atlanta. It was just
Oh,
such a
sick.
solid 1-2 punch.
Hell yeah. That's a good show.
It was awesome. But yeah, so that's who I was thinking. Question number 4 is, what's on your musical rotation right now?
Oh. Right now, a lot of old mariachi music.
Interesting.
And then there's a couple of folks on this. There's this online radio thing called NTS. And there's a couple of people that I like what they select, and I'm kind of sifting through that right now.
NTS, that's the radio?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. Check it out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What's the mariachi band, or is it just more of a playlist?
Ooh, no. It's there's a few specific records. I will butcher the name as the as the white individual that I am. But yeah, there's a few that I've got in rotation that I really love. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I've
Yeah.
never really given mariachi music a try, but maybe you can shoot some my way so I can educate
Give it a
myself.
gander, man. Yeah, I'll send you a link. Don't you worry.
Perfect. And then the last question here is, what's your favorite decade of music?
Fuck. It changes every day. I don't know, man. There's so many ways to take this one. I could think of some
Yeah.
stupid philosophical answer for all. Yeah.
What is the worst decade of music?
Oh, I could also. Now, I mean, I'm really into the 50s and 60s, bit of the 70s stuff. Right now, that's yeah, probably that. I won't. I'll plead the fifth on the worst decade.
Yeah.
I
Don't want to blanket sweep an entire decade
no.
of music.
I mean, but there's also. I mean, you could also argue that, now is the best, and that's where my head was going too. But like, I don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I tend to right now go back to 50s, 60s stuff at the moment.
Yeah, 50s is one I haven't really explored heavily at all. 60s, it's really only been 65 and up.
Onward.
You
Yeah.
know, I don't know why that's been. Maybe the Beatles. Maybe that's why after the Beatles, I didn't really go back earlier than that.
I get it.
But that's just me personally.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in like 2010s to now. I think it's just been great. Of course, there's been not some great stuff. But
do we have time for you to unpack that one for me a little bit more? Like what can you point to some stuff?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I will be the first to recognize that part of that will be the sentimentality of growing up, being middle school, high school, post high school,
totally
all within that time frame. So
yeah.
Just it's been a time where I discovered a lot of music. I think a lot of people go through that phase of
The formative.
growing up and listening to what your parents tell you to listen to, or what they happen to listen to.
Yeah.
And then you find stuff of your own and you're like, oh, whoa, it's like feels so personal to you.
Yeah.
And then gradually your tastes change. And as you get older, some artists, they don't impact you as much, where some, they really they stick with you. Like for me, that would be Radiohead. They've stuck with me ever since I fell in love with them. My love has only grown fonder. Same with Wilco, same with Frank Ocean, although he only really has two, 3, 4 albums. But I think also just what I love about the 2010s and now is even though it is very saturated, some could say that's a bad thing. I think it's just like, it's great to be able to find any sort of niche that you want. The accessibility is insane, with something like the internet.
Yeah. No, that's, I'm with you there. That makes sense.
But unfortunately, on the flip side of that coin is, it's easier to find garbage. Whereas in the 50s, 60s, 70s, like if you had to be insanely good to get that album out, maybe not always, but
yeah. I mean, it's all for better or for worse. You know what I mean? You can, it is what it is at the end of the day. But yeah, man, and some of that is more the music business than the actual,
True.
But no, that's understood, heard, respect.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, Lewis Prince, dude, thank you for joining me for this episode of On That Note. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm excited to hear what you got coming out in the future, and it's just been a blast getting to talk about your creative process.
Yeah, man. Likewise. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining me, dude. I'll talk to you later.
No problem, my boy. Have a good day. Good night.
See ya.
See
you
ya.
too. Thank you again for joining me for another episode of On That Note with Parker Whirling. If you haven't yet, please make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts, and you can even leave a comment down below to let me know who you're listening to. On that note, I'll see you guys next time.